In the year 1558, within the shadowy confines of St. James's Palace, Queen Mary Tudor lay awake. The air in her royal bedchamber was thick with the scent of burnt wax and incense, a smell that seemed to cling to the heavy curtains like a shroud. Her body was frail, her mind fraying. She had bled again, and the physicians, their voices hushed and solemn, confirmed her worst fears. The quickening she had felt, the hope of an heir, was just another phantom pregnancy. A cruel illusion her desperate body had conjured. Mary pressed her trembling hands against her stomach, a silent sob escaping her lips. "He was there," she whispered into the oppressive silence. "My child was there." Across the chamber, a grand mirror reflected her gaunt, hollow-eyed face. A queen without an heir, a wife whose husband, Philip of Spain, had long since abandoned her for his own kingdom, leaving her to grapple with her ghosts alone. The people had a new name for her now, Bloody Mary. It was a name forged in fire and fear, whispered in the streets and screamed from the pyres at Smithfield. They condemned her for the burnings, for the endless procession of heretics sent to the flames. But in her heart, Mary saw it not as cruelty, but as righteousness. Each soul cleansed in fire, she believed, was a soul saved. Yet in the dead of night, when the palace fell silent and the fires had died down to embers, their voices returned. The whispers of those who refused to recant, hissing from the shadows in a language of ash and regret. They were the ghosts that truly haunted her. On the very eve of her death, a strange strength filled her. Mary rose from her bed, her feet bare on the cold stone, and approached the mirror. It was a magnificent Venetian glass, a wedding gift from her father, King Henry VIII, to her mother, Catherine of Aragon. But tonight, its surface shimmered, rippling as if stirred by an unseen wind, though the windows were sealed shut. Her reflection stared back, but it wasn't quite her own. The eyes were brighter, the lips twisted into a cruel, knowing smile. A voice, smooth as polished glass, echoed in the room, though the reflection's lips did not move. "You are dying," it said. Mary stumbled back, her heart pounding against her ribs. "Who are you? Who speaks to me?" "You, my queen," the voice replied, "or what little remains of you." The reflection's smile widened, its teeth looking sharp, like shards of broken glass. "They all mock you. Your husband has found love with another. Your people spit your name like a curse. You have set England ablaze for your God, and yet, heaven remains stubbornly silent." "Begone from my sight," Mary hissed, her voice cracking. "You are a devil's trick." "But you are the one who called me?" the mirror whispered, its tone turning sympathetic, almost motherly. "With every prayer for the child you lost, with every tear you shed upon the cold floor, your sorrow has given me life. I am the mother you could never be." Overwhelmed, Mary collapsed to her knees before the glass. The last of her strength gave way to a torrent of grief. "Give him back to me," she wept, her tears staining the stone. "Please, just give me my son." The reflection reached out. A pale, thin hand pressed against the surface of the mirror from the other side. For a fleeting, impossible moment, Mary felt a surge of warmth spread from the glass, a comforting touch. And then, an icy bone-deep cold. And then, nothing. The mirror went dark. The next morning, the chamberlain found the queen slumped before the mirror, her body lifeless. Her lips were slightly parted, as if she had been whispering a name in her final moments. After Mary's death and her half-sister Elizabeth's coronation, the mirror was deemed cursed and locked away deep within the Tower of London. The servants, their voices low and fearful, told tales of seeing Queen Mary's sorrowful face weeping just behind their own reflection. In 1603, this legend led to a fateful dare. A young maid named Elspeth, goaded by the Tower guards, agreed to stand before the covered mirror by candlelight. As instructed by the morbid game, she whispered the name Mary 3 times into the darkness. The candle flame suddenly faltered, and in that wavering light, she saw it. The reflection behind her own wasn't weeping, it was smiling. They found Elspeth the next morning, her skin pale and waxy, her body seemingly drained of blood. Her eyes were wide open, fixed on the mirror's now dark surface. And on the stone wall beside her, scratched crudely with her own broken fingernails, was a chilling message: "She wants her child." The tower wardens, thoroughly spooked, covered the mirror with a thick black cloth. But the stories persisted. Some claimed that if you listened closely at the stroke of midnight, you could still hear the faint, desperate scratching from behind the veil. Through the centuries, the cursed mirror changed hands, moving from royal castles to grand manors, from the homes of nobles to the forgotten corners of dusty attics. Its dark legend only grew with time. Each new owner reported unsettling phenomena. They heard whispers in the dead of night. Women who gazed into it swore they saw their own faces unnaturally change, their wombs appearing to swell, their reflections smirking back at them when they themselves were not smiling. By the 19th century, the mirror had found its way to a sprawling country estate near Essex. There, a stern governess named Margaret discovered its terrifying power. She used the legend to frighten the children under her charge into obedience. If you whisper her name 3 times, she would warn them, Queen Mary will appear. She scans the faces of the living, desperately searching for her lost son. But be warned, if she mistakes you for him, She will pull you straight through the glass to be with her forever. The children, of course, thought it was just a silly story. One evening, one of them, a bold young girl, decided to call the governess's bluff. She stood before the mirror and defiantly whispered the name. The other children, laughed or died in their throats as the surface of the ancient glass began to ripple like water. The governess screamed and fled the room, a terrible sound of shattering glass echoing behind her. When they dared to look back, the girl was gone. All that remained was a small dark stain on the floor where she had stood. Margaret, the governess, vanished from the estate that very night, never to be seen again. Today, the mirror is said to reside in a London museum, safely encased behind protective glass. Its official label is mundane and unassuming. Venetian mirror, circa 1550, formerly the property of Queen Mary I of England, it gives no hint of its bloody and terrifying history, but even here, its curse lingers. The night guards refuse to patrol the gallery where it is displayed. They speak of electronic equipment malfunctioning and strange, cold spots in the air around the exhibit. Visitors who spend a little too long looking at their own reflection in its glass have reported a disturbing optical illusion. They say their reflection seems to blink a fraction of a second after they do, a heartbeat out of sync with reality. And the legend, the dare, persists. They say that if you stand before it, if you quiet your mind, and stare deep into the dark, swirling depths of the ancient glass, and if you are foolish enough to whisper her name 3 times, you might just hear it, a faint voice, seeming to come from just behind the glass. The desperate whisper of a grieving mother, the eternal curse of a broken queen. Give me my child. And then, you might hear another sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping, the sound of fingernails on the inside of the mirror, tap, 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 growing louder, more insistent, until you look closer and realize with a jolt of pure terror that your reflection is smiling, even though you are not. Thank you so much for journeying with me into this dark legend. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows of history. Until next time, stay curious and maybe avoid old mirrors.